conquer and we're going to take some. Is that understood? Yes, sir. That's what we're going to do, sweetheart. We are going to go and get some. All right, people, on the ready line. Are you me? Yeah! Are you me? Yeah! What are you? What are you?
Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis, Marine Corps veteran and your host. Oscar Mike Radio is co-produced by Sinister One Productions. What's your podcast doing? I want to thank my sponsor, Joyce Asek of Asek Real Estate, and my supporters, Cason Shaving Company, Exceptional Parent Magazine, and Fight Camp. Be your strongest combination. And as you can see, folks, I have two guests. They're a really cool combo. This is number 450. So I want to give a big shout out to everybody who supported me so far. We're counting down to 500, and we're starting with another Marine that I know, Barrett Bogue with Evocati Public Relations, who got me connected to this cool group. I want to welcome Kito and Ann with Northwest Rally Association, Rallycross. Very, very cool. Welcome to Oscar Mike Radio, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So the only thing I knew about Rallycross way back in the day was the Colin McRae video games. And he raced the Subaru around the track, and I'd see the videos of it going off the track, and then the crowd would help put it back on the track. Like, this is truly like a fan. The fans get involved in the sport hands-on. That's all I knew. And then fast forward to F1, and I saw some clips of some F1 drivers talking about, and it's always the same fight, right? Is NASCAR, IndyCar, F1 better than the other? And some of the F1 drivers said, you know what? We tried Rallycross once, got out of the car, and never got back in it. It's just that more intense. And so I'm excited to talk to you all today. So we're going to start with Kito. For those Americans, and we don't know a lot, but we know what we know, tell us, what is Rallycross racing?
So Rallycross racing is primarily regular cars like you'd see on the street, like Subarus, and they race on the dirt. So Rallycross is running against a clock on a course. You have a start and a finish. And then it is an accumulation of time over a series of laps, and the shortest, quickest wins. So for Rallycross, it is a lower barrier to entry than, say, like stage rally, which Ann also does. And it is a little less dangerous. You're not 100 miles an hour through the trees, but it's still very exciting. So think more like what Colin McRae did when they did the X Games, like down in Los Angeles, right? So that'd be, more our speed. But then there's also stage rally, which is what Ann does, which is the 100 miles an hour through the woods. That's a little bit of an upper level of rally, but and that's what I think a lot of people don't understand is there's a series of tiers to get into rally. There's rallycross, which is the easiest and usually the lowest priced, and then goes all the way up to stage. And of course, as you go higher up, you have less competitors as the field filters down. So the big thing just to remember is, you're racing on the dirt, you're sliding cars around, and that's what rally's all about.
Well, I gotta ask then, Keto, how did you get into this whole thing? Because it's not a common thing in America. Usually it's like dirt track or go-karts or, the lower tiers of NASCAR. How does rallycross fit into, where we are now?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So how I got into it was that I had a client. I used to run a speed shop, and I had a client who was into rallycross. I went down and watched a race and rode along, and I was just kind of hooked from there. And part of it is the technique that it takes to do rally is much more difficult than like road race because it's a little more of a dance than road races. So how does this fit in? It's a very good question. So Formula One, which you mentioned before, a great example, is a very high dollar, high level racing, right? So you have to have money to get into Formula One. You have to have sponsors. You have to have all of this stuff that needs to come together, and only a very small few make it. Rally is more like NASCAR in that it's built from the ground up. So NASCAR, you will find circle tracks everywhere you go. If you travel the country, you'll see circle tracks. Even fairgrounds have circle tracks. And so it is very relatable to the general public because, my uncle does that, or I've been to these circle tracks, or I have one down the street from my house. And so it's very relatable. Whereas who has a F1 track in their backyard or, who's been to an F1 track? Not very many people. So with Rallycross, we race all over the place. We race in small towns, we race outside of big towns, we race everywhere. And so I think it's much more of a grassroots based program and it grows from the bottom up. There's a couple programs that have tried in the 10 years that we've been operating. There's three that have tried to come in as sort of a top down where they bring in big professional drivers and they don't seem to be sustainable. And so it's really that ground up that really I think is the big deal for rally in the US.
So, and, he's talking, I'm thinking about, you know, how you fit into all this. And I understand that you served in the Marine Corps, Semper Fi. And I want to ask you before we get started, do you feel, I feel something. I feel the spirit of Chesty Puller watching you and me right now. Do you feel that too, Ann?
Oh, absolutely.
Semper Fi, Semper Fi. So tell us about your Marine Corps experience and how you go from the Marine Corps to driving these high performance vehicles.
Well, I started in 90 and served till 94. I joined when I was in high school. Um, Decided that that was the direction that I needed to go. And I was really glad I did. It's brought me tremendous, tremendous joy post being in the Marine Corps, as well. I was in a lot of discipline, and it gave me kind of a focus point as to where I wanted to lead from there. Challenges throughout life, including my prior to being in rally, which is I played roller derby. So I'm always on an adventure. I kind of look at my life as as chapters of a book. And so that chapter was over and I needed something else, and Rallycross fell on my lap. I went to one rally event and was like, I gotta do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. So my husband and I bought a beater car and I took it out to my first event in 2019. And then I placed in my first event and then rolled it like, I don't know, a month later, and then bought another car and right back out again. And the team at Northwest Rally, including Kito and Katie and everybody else there, was probably the reason why I stuck with it, because they just didn't want me to quit. And
So for both of you, I get the sense from looking at the website and learning about rallycross on YouTube that you're almost like the Marine Corps, and it becomes like a tight knit unit family type thing.
Absolutely,
Why is
the
that?
community is strong. I think you're just you become one. I mean, there's competitors, but you're all in it for the same goal, is to win, right? So you're always encouraging each other. There's never anybody out there that's going against anybody else. You always are cheering on every other competitor. You want them to win, whether they're in your class, in another class, and the end goal is just to have fun. So for us, it was a no-brainer for me. I saw the same community drive that I saw in the Marine Corps in the rallycross community, and have enjoyed being a part of it tremendously.
So help me out here, Kito. When did what you're doing become this Northwest Association, and what does that mean? Are you just based in, I thought you were based in Washington State, but it looks like you do races all through the Northwest. Just kind of educate me on that, would you please?
Yeah. So we race all over. We race as far south as Albany, Oregon. We race as far north as Bellingham, which is right on the border with Canada, literally like not what 20 minutes from Canada. And then we race, outside Seattle, and then we race as far east as Spokane. And so yeah, we race kind of all over, and that was sort of the goal, was to build a community where we could bring in everyone. Washington is sort of divided by the mountains. There's Western Washington, Eastern Washington, and so we have a very large Western Washington contingency, and so we're building in Eastern Washington. But even though they compete against each other, everybody is very much, it's like competing against your brother. And the one thing I'll tell you about the rally community is that, I'll give you a great example. You could be competing against your biggest rival, come down to the last race, you break your car, pretty much guaranteed your rival is gonna tell you, take my car. Nobody wants to win that way. Everybody they want to beat you, but they want to beat you fair and square. They want the honorable win, so.
Well, so Ann, but if I look at the setup, right, you're competing against each other, but it's kind of like you're competing against yourself to get the better times, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah.
So, Ann, I mean, you kind of touched on it. What's it like? You get your car ready to go. You have your extra water. Now here's something that I picked up on your website, Kito. Do you really have to tell the competitors, the racers, to eat and drink water? Because it seems like they forget. Is that really a thing?
Yes, it
What?
is yes, it is very much a thing. We, especially on hot days, inevitably we get people who pass out or heat stroke because they're just not taking care of themselves. They're so concentrated. We call it the red mist. So as a
Really?
matter of fact, at the end of the track, I have a section where you have to come to a stop and take a breath, because I need you to get your red mist out before you drive through the pits. Otherwise, they'll go racing through the pits at 100 miles an hour. And so, yeah, people, they just get so into it that they just don't. I had to actually, somebody the last training session, tell me that they had to remind themselves to breathe.
It's that intense and that focus going through the course.
Yes.
So I got
It's
to
all
ask.
memorization, yeah, because you have to memorize the course layout. So you're always thinking ahead. You're just not thinking about what's happening in here. And so, yeah, the whole not breathing bit and not drinking enough water is a thing.
So I wanted to
Sure.
ask, because I don't know, is this the kind of rallycross where you have the person next to you kind of telling you medium right? No, it's just you're solo.
Yeah, so it's on your own. Some people do have somebody in the car, but there's it's a pretty good weight penalty to have another person in the car. And so, yes, you're on your own. You get to walk the course ahead of time, and then right before you drive it, you're allowed a parade lap, which means you drive through the course at 10 miles an hour. And then it's go.
All right, Ann. So I've never done this before. I don't think I've ever raced. I tried racing a 5-ton once, and it didn't go very well, but that's a different story.
They've done that, yeah.
Take me through being on the starting line and going. What's going through your mind? What are you doing to get ready to get the checkered flag to start?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a debrief in my brain
Yeah.
of course layout and just trying to remember to shift. Don't stall the car because I drive a manual. Don't stall the car. And then just constantly looking ahead, just reminding myself, like, I got this. And then you got it. And once you go and get and start, it all starts to click. And then usually it's just a matter of finding the rhythm so that you can do the dancing that Kito was talking about, because there is rhythm to it. If you just chop up the course, you're not going to be fast, you're not going to be smooth. So trying to find the right rhythm so that you can make nice smooth lines and be fancy if you want, but the fastest and the
Is
cleanest
it
is the
kind of a
goal.
dance with the car? That you're dancing with the car to get through the course?
Absolutely.
Really? Really?
Yeah, so you make a car go right to go left. If that probably doesn't make sense,
No.
but it's like what happens is you're actually unsettling the car. You ever right before you spin a car, it goes whoop and then whoosh, right?
Yeah.
We do that, but we do it intentionally and we get it to rotate. So you're actually having to think kind of about everything ahead of time. And because it's on the dirt, you're already turning the car before you get to the turn. If you turn the car as you get to the turn, you go off course.
So when you see the videos of the car not turning, that's why.
That's right.
So, Kito, you built this and you're trying to expand it. What happened to get it built to this point where you're like, you know what, I have a good circuit of races for people. I have a great community. What led you to say, you know what, now's the time to see if I can get the word out there and expand what I'm doing?
That's a very good question. So, Katie, who is my partner and is also my co-founder, her and I, we're not super good at just going, hey, look at us, we're great. That's just not our personality. And so we left kind of a big void, and people were starting to try and fill that void. And that told us it was valuable. And that's why we actually hired Evocati initially, because people were entering our space. And so we needed someone to help us get our name out there and fill that space. But we also realized that we have this great community. It's very tight knit. People are very trusting, and I think people are always. I don't know how to say it, like they're always there to help. I know people who've gotten jobs through our program. Somebody gets unemployed, they hear about it, say, "Oh, I have some work for you." I mean, people are all constantly looking out for each other, right? I needed a part that was halfway across the state. I could call up somebody and they picked it up for me off of Craigslist and brought it to the next event, and everybody just does that. So when I realized we had this community, that is when I realized we really had something.
Now, you said this before in our talk. You said just now. You mentioned that this is a program.
Mhm.
So I don't want to assume anything. Break down. What do you mean by program, please?
Well, so we do more than just race. We also do instruction. We do all kinds of stuff to help people out, like teaching people social media. We've done like social media classes, all of those sort of things. We get companies that come to us and are looking to either make a better product or to get out to our group. And if it's beneficial to everyone in our group, then we do it. So it's like I said, it's more than racing. We do a swap meet, and so we do anything we can to help facilitate people to race and make it easier for them. The easier we make it, the lower the barrier to entry. And it's the reason we run the largest rally cross races literally in the world. And it is because of that that we do that. That is that big. So
And going back to you, one of the things that I hear in every F1 race that I watch, or even the NASCAR, is this male IndyCar too, male female dynamic. What could have Dana Kirkpatrick done if she had done things differently? But it sounds like the fact that you're a woman doesn't really mean much to the car and to navigating the course. So is this something that you would tell other female veterans that, hey, you know what? There's a place for you here in my community. Come check it out. Do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest with you, I was glad that you brought that up because it's something that I hear a lot about, like women drivers versus men drivers. And honestly, the car doesn't care who you are. If you're a good driver, you're going to win. So my recommendation is anybody that wants to be a better driver, even if it's just for your day-to-day commutes, come out and rallycross. It is so much fun and it will make you a better driver.
Well, I want to stay there for just a second because so many female veterans I talk to, Marine Corps or otherwise, are like, I get out of the Marine Corps and I did this high-speed job. Maybe I wasn't infantry, but I did a high-speed job. I drove the trucks, I drove the Dragon Wagon, or, I was on the Osprey, and I don't have that adrenaline punch anymore, and I don't have people to do it with. So
Yeah,
it's really interesting that you have found this, and you're saying very, Marine Corps style, this is open to women. Come join us. I think it's very cool.
absolutely. Yeah, it's all inclusive. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's such a welcoming place for everybody and anyone. And I understand that whole high adrenaline rush factor and the desire to have it. And every race, I've been competing, I took a couple seasons off, but since 2019, at every event, every run, I still get the same set of butterflies and like grasp for wanting to excel that I did the first time I went out. The same nerves, and
So it's
it
not
never
gone
goes
old.
away.
Never,
It
never,
never gets away.
never
No.
gets old. Now,
Yep.
Kito, you're smiling the whole time saying this. Is this what you want to hear?
it is. As a matter of fact, I mean, she nailed it. There is a lady that has done some instructing with us who is a racer, and I would be willing to I would say anyone who thinks that they're the fastest driver, I'd be willing to put her in a car, and I'd be willing to bet she's gonna beat you. She's fast, and that's the thing is in rally, doesn't care. Mm-mm.
So let me ask a noob question about the cars themselves. Now, I noticed, Ann, you said you drive a stick, which I know how to drive a manual. But is it manual or automatics? Which one's better? Or is it strictly all manual to get the car to do what you need it to do?
That's a great question. I drive a manual just because that's what I have. They're easy to work on and they're cheap. So for me, that's why I got what I got. Some people might like manuals better. I honestly don't know if there is a difference. I mean, Kito, have you?
Yeah, so manual transmissions are better for rallycross because of essentially the difference between the clutches, right?
Oh,
A
okay.
clutch on a manual is a full lockup. And with rally, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get weight transfer. So like when you slam on the brakes, the car's like all the way on the nose. That's how you get authority on the front end of the car. And so you can do that by letting off the throttle also. And that's how we make the car unstable and get it to turn. With automatics, it takes a little more work, right? Because you don't have that same lockup with the torque converter. But there are some people who do run automatics. You just have to do something called left foot braking, which is probably a whole nother podcast.
For sure. Well, you all can come back if you want to. I mean, this is the bonus part of being on Oscar Mike Radio.
Absolutely.
You've got this point now, and do you still race every day? Are you doing anything different with North West Rally Association, or is it just racing still?
Yeah. So we took a couple seasons off just because we had some life changes
Sure.
and we're looking forward to coming back out. But in the interim, I have been asked to come back and I helped do some instruction. So I did Northwest Rally puts on their largest event every year. It's a 3-day event. And it was 2 days of instruction and a day of racing. And I think it's switched now to 1 day of instruction and 2 days of racing. Is that right,
Yay.
Kito?
Yeah, so we're something similar to that.
Yeah. And so I've done those a couple times, and then most recently I've done an all Northwest Rally has put out an all women's rallycross event, and it's a workshop. So women racing only, and it gives them an avenue to come out. First time ever. A lot of them have come out. Second time we just had it was last weekend. And that was fun. So I got to instruct for both of those and to see the improvement from some of the competitors that were there last year to this year blew my mind. And I didn't get to see them compete throughout the year. So to have that second look only after having seen them once before was pretty impressive. So I commend them and just all the other instructors that were out there and competitors, encouraging all of these competitors throughout the day and throughout their races. It shows that community is there.
Yeah, what's it like? I mean, for both of you, that means your sport, your association, your family's growing to have that many competitors and that many women show up. But Kito, you've got to feel like, I'm getting there. This is now all the work's paying off. Is that how you feel about this?
I do. The big payoffs is, when I hear how people feel about our program. Katie and I work incredibly hard, and we have a handful of employees that work with us, and we work incredibly hard to make it a program where people do come in. I know coming into new programs, I've done a bunch of different type of racing, and so I come into a new program and it can be incredibly intimidating. You don't know what's going on, and everybody has these finely tuned machines and you're trying to get there without knowing what's going on. So that's why we do like the women's event and we do a novice event. Is there really low stress workshops where you can learn all these things, all the little tricks of rallycross. And so when you show up for your first race, it isn't so intimidating. So hearing that and seeing the growth that we've had is incredibly fulfilling. I think Katie and I are quite pleased with how we've grown.
Well, as a competitor, and I mean, I don't know, I'm not going to assume, but I had to think back in 2019, 2017, there weren't very many women in the associate at that time. Maybe there were, maybe there weren't, I don't know. But to have like a full league of women racing, and you're like the example now, you're like the senior Lance Corporal, if you will. Inside
That's
joke there,
awesome.
Kito. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to be good to see it, right? And then, see the race
Yeah.
through their eyes.
Absolutely. I think when I started in 2019, there might have been 2 other women competitors, maybe. And it didn't. I mean, to see it grow exponentially in just 6 years' time, that's tremendous. And it's awesome. And then I'd like to see it be, from a 70-30 perspective to a 60-40 perspective of
Sure.
women over men.
So another new question, are Subarus the car to have to do this? Or can you race in a Ford Escort? I don't know. I mean, I just got to know.
Any car. You can race any car. You can race a Tesla.
What? No way, because they weigh too much, right?
Interesting. So what's interesting about them is on dry days where we have a little more grip, they're very dominant in their class. When it gets wet out and slippery, they move down about mid-pack. And I think it is exactly that. It's the weight. So they have a lot of torque. It's very instantaneous. And so that's what helps them out a lot when it's dry. But I think the weight is what hurts them in the wet. But yeah, you can definitely. So, okay, here's the deal. In rallycross, the classes are broken down into 3 levels of prepared. We have stock, prepared, and modified. Stock class is so stock, you can't change your steering wheel, you can't change your shift knobs, you can't change your seats. You have to run on a DOT tire, you can't run on rally tires. So barrier to entry, very low. Prepared is you're allowed rally tires, you're allowed to do some brakes and a tune and this sort of stuff. Modified is your formula, whatever you think you got, you can bring it. So then it's further broken down by drivetrain, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, and all wheel drive, right? So Subarus in the all wheel drive class, you see a lot of Subarus, but then you have rear wheel drive, which there are a couple, but mostly you find a wide variety of cars, even some trucks.
I was going to ask about trucks.
Yep, and yeah, some small like pickup trucks that are set up, and then the front wheel drive we see a lot of like Ford Focuses, a lot of Ford Focuses, but that kind of stuff. So yeah, so there's quite a variety of cars that you will see in rallycross.
So if you've got if you went to some sale and found a grandma or grandpa car that's just sitting there with a couple thousand miles on it, not really driven a whole lot, you could for potentially $3,000 to $6,000 and some safety equipment get started, right?
That's correct. We get people who buy like ex-cop cars. That's a pretty, I mean, they look like they're not super fast in the class, but man, those guys look like they're having a lot of fun.
Like the old Crown Vics?
Exactly.
I can't see a Crown Vic doing rally.
Yeah, so I've actually driven one on a test day once, and it was such a hoot. I mean, it never went straight, but it was a lot of fun.
It's just a big boat.
Yeah.
Right. It's a big boat, Ann, and it's rear wheel drive, so it must slide all over the place.
And they're pretty durable. So
oh yeah?
Yeah, they do pretty well.
Yeah, parts are cheap. I think that's the biggest thing, is that a great entry is to find a car. I mean, everybody wants the cool car. But if you're looking for a low entry point, find a car that parts are aplenty, and
that's one of them.
It's cheap, So I think that's the biggest thing, is just set yourself up so that if you can replace stuff.
So here's the thing, Kito and Ann. I'm in the Northeast, and the reason I know about Subarus is because I go to Maine, and Maine's like covered with them. But I'm in the Northeast, and you all are in the Northwest. Mm-hmm. How can people from different parts of the U.S. check this out and get tuned in, maybe even follow their favorite driver? I mean, Ann, you're a Marine, so I'd have to put you on my, top of the list. But is there any pathway to that?
Yeah, so we run obviously in the Northwest, but there's programs all over the country, actually. And a quick Google search will find your program. In the Northeast, actually, rally is very, very popular. You guys have a rally school up there. You guys have one of the biggest rally builders up in Vermont. And then there's tons of rallies that happen in the Northeast and all along the East Coast. So you guys have stage rally, you have rallycross, and then in stage rally, you have 2 different sanctioning bodies that operate out there. On the West Coast, we only have one. You have both ARA and NASA out there, and you have a ton. And as a matter of fact, Tennessee, I believe it is going to be the comeback of WRC to America.
Okay. Now I didn't know that Vermont, of all places, had a rally center at all. I just learned something new today. So I had no idea. I've lived in New England for like 20 years, had never seen a rally anything. It's because I live in Massachusetts. I don't know.
So Vermont Sports Car is the name of the company, and they build like the rally cars for Travis Pastrana and Ken Block before he passed. And so they're the premier rally car build. They're the ones who build the cars, the factory cars for Subaru.
So one thing I got to ask is I'm watching some of these rally races. I think they're cool. To me, I like motorcycles. So the one race I like to watch is the Isle of Man. because it's on streets and stuff like that. And I'm like, these people are right next to the environment. But what happens? Have you ever had a car go off the track and the fans put the car back on the track? Because I've seen that in other rally races. Does that ever happen?
So we don't allow fans close in rallycross. In
Okay.
stage rally, which Ann does also, they do that. I don't know if they get close enough to put them back on or if they're allowed to, but yeah, they get a lot closer to the cars. Yes.
Okay. I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, I mean, when we've competed on the rallycross events, if a car happens, because it's a closed course, so you're not on a public road, you're not having to worry about traffic coming in. But we've had a couple cars that just, round the corner a little too hard and they flip up on their side and, we wave the flag to stop racing, and then people do come and help and right the car back onto its tires, but there's not a lot of the fan who love, like, oh, let's get them go back out there. Because we just want to make sure everybody's safe.
I didn't ask this before, but I should have asked this at the beginning of the show. How many people are in the Northwest Rally Association as competitors, fans, or do you have an idea of how that's figured out?
Yeah, so we get about 500 people race with us per year, depending on, wherever we are. So somebody in Spokane may not race in Bellingham and vice versa. And so throughout the year, that's about how many. And then our big races, we get a total of about 800 people who come out like for spectating.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I see that you have the June Jamboree coming up. So this show will drop on May 29th, folks. Their next big event appears to be the June Jamboree. Can you tell me about that?
So the June Jamboree, we hold that down in Albany, Oregon, and we actually race in a motorcycle track, like like a motocross track. Now we don't go off the big kickers, but we do go through the tunnels and we use some of like the tabletops and stuff like that. So think of it like old school X Games, right?
Okay.
And that's what it is. It's a really, really fun track.
And is it like a one-day event? It seems Jamboree seems to be a one-day event. Okay.
Yes, it is a one-day event. Yeah, yeah. That particular one's a one-day event.
So, Ann, I gotta ask, do you ever run into any other veterans through your time in this association or racing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it's not something I've ever asked. I
Yeah.
think you kind of can just tell if somebody's a vet. We have a little bit of different posture. But I don't know if it's
Just
just not something
curious.
yeah.
Well, again, think about it. I don't know about you, but my first job out of the Marine Corps was working at CVS, and the highlight of my day was trying to fill some older gentleman's boost prescription. If you get the mean, that was the excitement for my day. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I used to fire a missile, and now I get to do this. So I think it'd be a natural draw for a veteran who's, wanting to try something new and different, and not have to spend, the equivalent of a house to do it. So I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't know about veterans in particular, but approximately a quarter of our racers are former military. And then
Well, those are
our,
veterans. Those are veterans. Yeah.
all vets. Yeah, okay. So and then our staff is approximately 30% as well.
I
And
see.
that's just because we hire directly from our program.
Okay. And so you have some veterans and as support
Awesome.
staff and competitors. That's very cool.
Mhm.
Um, are you guys open to sponsorships for the association and for races?
We are. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We're constantly looking for sponsorship. Yeah.
Nice,
We
nice.
look for sponsorship for the series, that's all encompassing. And then we also do sponsorship for the locales, right? So like in Spokane, for example, there might be, a company that operates just in Spokane that's interested in getting the word out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, hey, folks, if you're watching this and want to do something cool and have your name on something, the very, community based, reach out to Kito and get your name out there. The June Jamboree is next, but for you all as an association and for you as a competitor instructor, what's next for you all, in 2025, please?
Well, I am taking a season off from stage rally this year. My driver is taking a year off as well. So I'm currently trying to just enjoy some other activities in the interim. And then, of course, if I ask to help with anything that Northwest Rally needs, and it might find me back up at the Bellingham event because it's right down the street from us.
Okay.
So that'll be Labor Day weekend. And yeah, but in the interim, I am hoping to just get some more time out on the course. I miss it, so I'd like to be back out there.
Now, Kito, I am seeing the Labor Day Dirt Cross 2025 at Hannigan Speedway.
Mm-hmm. Hannigan is also another motocross track that we race at. Those are the two.
So,
And then we do in July, July 25th, 26th, I think it is, or right around there, is our Rallycross Fest, which is our largest race where people come from all over the country.
Nice. And how many people will show up for that?
We'll have roughly 250 competitors, and then we get, probably 800 spectators.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna check it out. I love racing. I NASCAR's kind of hit or miss for me. I'll watch the Daytona 500. The Indy 500 is one of my favorite. F1's hit or miss. It gets boring sometimes, but I've never had a boring rallycross race ever. It's like amazing what these cars can do and how they can turn, how they can stop and do all that stuff. So you've got a new fan here.
Good, good. Well, if you ever come out to the Northwest, you got to let us know, and we'll get you out to an event and get you in a car.
You put me in a car for real?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we do is we have something called ride along. So you can actually ride in the car when people are competing.
Wait a
So
minute, wait a minute.
yeah,
Kito. We got to do this Marine Corps right now. Ann, I would ride in the car with you. If you would take me in the car, I'm in.
absolutely. Yeah.
Semper Fi, let's do this. I'll be your A driver.
Yep. Absolutely.
I won't fall asleep on you.
No, you better not.
So Kito, you drive the 5-ton. That's what I drove and to tow my missiles around. And the A driver was, oh yeah, I'm there for you. 5 minutes later, they're asleep the whole time. Hey, did anything happen? Oh yeah, sure. Thanks for being asleep. So that's the inside joke.
Got it.
When I get out to see the Northwest next year, I'm going to do that, and and we'll do it right. We'll do a whole show and everything around it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's your motivation, Ann, to get the car all back together.
Well, Kito, you gotta understand. I could do it with anybody, but why not do it with the fellow Marine sister? That's poetic. I'm not pressuring you, Ann, but I would love to do it.
Oh no, there's no pressure. Actually, bring it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's how we are, Kito. That's how Marines are.
I love it.
Well, I just think this is great. Yes, Travis, are they strictly a military, show? Well, yes and no. You could say that, no, Kito's not a veteran, but you know what? He has something that veterans can partake of. He hires veterans. And you've heard from a female veteran how Rallycross has come in and given her, that kind of community, brotherhood, and sisterhood that she missed from the Corps. And, and I certainly understand that. So I just think it's great for you all to come on. And again, thank you so much for sharing in this number 450 moment. And the reason I say that is, again, this doesn't happen in podcasting that much. And so I think this is a really cool way to begin the countdown to 500. Thank you so much. Any closing thoughts or questions that you would like to share with the audience, please?
I think maybe number 500 would be a podcast from in-car.
So 500's, you can ask Barrett, 500's already planned.
Oh, okay.
But we could start 501 in a car.
There you go. Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll look at that because number 500 drops July 19th, 2026. So maybe if Chesty wills it, I could do Rallycross 2026.
There you go. Absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you got it right there. Just a really great moment with, these two people, one the Marine, one who, has created this, place for the community and brought people together. Bear, thank you so much, and the Avocati team. And so we're going to shut it down now. We're going to get ready to race, throttle wide open. And as we say in Oscar Mike Radio, we're mission in flight. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
The biggest fear Gold Star families have that their child will be forgotten.
We need to never forget freedom wasn't free.
It's the fact that they give us the life we have now. We should remember them and give thanks to them.
If I can be a part of something today that's going to make the surviving family of any of these veterans, these heroes, feel better tomorrow, then it's worth it.
That one wreath symbolizes one family that was able to smile because of the generous donations.
To sponsor a wreath and honor a veteran, visit wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load co-Sinister One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.